Hello everyone. Before you check out the newest episode of XS Gaming Podcast, I wanted to say a huge thank you to all of our listeners for waiting patiently for this episode. We've had a couple of different technical difficulties, but rest assured that XS Gaming Podcast will return to its normal scheduling program of every 2 weeks. It's going to be a brand new episode. Again, thank you so much guys for all the patience, and I hope you guys enjoy the episode.
You're listening to the XS Gaming Podcast Halloween Special 2017 with your hosts Xander, Skullion, and James Gruesome.
Greetings, boils and ghouls, and welcome to another episode of XS Gaming Podcast. This is our annual Halloween special. We're recording this on the 1st of November, and you may be asking yourself, dude, Halloween's over. But damn it, we had a lot of setbacks last week when we tried to record this episode, and I look at it this way. If people can already put out Christmas decorations the day after Halloween, we can prolong Halloween just one more day. And joined with me is my wonderful co-host, my good friend, Mr. James Gruesome. What's up, James?
What's up, everybody? I have a little motto I taught my niece many years ago. She just turned 21 recently, which is pretty insane. But I taught her when she was little, every day is Halloween, and she would hold a pumpkin up in the air. So, you know,
that's awesome.
Every day. I was just moving some coffins down the street. Sounds kind of funny, but a lot of people that know me know I actually have some coffins in my garage, and I lent them to our friends that do an awesome haunted yard every Halloween. Like, literally, I'm just in a regular neighborhood, and, you know, I have like 1,000 people, not all at once, but they come through. But, I mean, it is a massive amount, and I know some people live in neighborhoods where it's like, you know, hardly anybody comes by, and I understand it's kind of a bummer, but, I mean, it's like the spirit of Halloween is alive on my street for sure. And it's like, I don't even want to pass out candy sometimes. Like, man, I just got home from work, I want to go play a game. But I was like, I sit outside, I drink my beer in a can from a straw. That's what I do every year, only on that day. And I pass out candy, and I mean, it's awesome to see that many people out. The little kids, costumes, even the older kids. And if they're not dressed up and they kind of got a little janky costume on, I will say they are still super polite. And, you know, I passed out on my razor blade and acid-laced candy, so, you know, it was a great night. If you have any of those dangerous edible candies that the news is warning you about that seriously nobody's going to give your kids, if you got any left over, pass them my way. Other than that, welcome to the show. Hope you had a great Halloween, and, you know, Merry Christmas too, I guess, since all that crap's in the store now.
Indeed, and keeping the Halloween spirit and the tradition alive, because it seems like every Halloween we always have this great special guest. He's the lead vocalist of the Casket Creatures. We are joined today by Ryan Cadaver. What's up, Ryan?
Hey, what's up, guys? Glad to be back, man.
Indeed,
I had an awesome Halloween as well. I finally, for once, didn't have a show, so I just did normal people stuff. I just watched horror movies and passed out candy, and I was like, this is way better than having to work on Halloween. It was actually, like, really badass. I had a good time.
Yeah, you know what's weird for me with Halloween is, you know, with the weather lately, of course, we always talk about the weather a little bit on the podcast, but, you know, it didn't start feeling like fall until about last week, and with that and how fast time is going by, I didn't even realize yesterday was Halloween until I was heading to work, and I saw kids in their costumes. Like, oh, shit, today is Halloween.
You're probably like, what is this, like the Purge going on or something? What the hell?
But yeah, I mean, we got lots to talk about. Let's start first, though, with our guest, you know, Ryan. I mean, you've been on our show a couple of times, the last couple of Halloween episodes, and I know we've gotten some new listeners since last year, so people may be unfamiliar with who you are and most importantly who the Casket Creatures are. Really fantastic horror punk band. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pass the mic to you and give your little introduction to our listeners.
Yeah, so we're a hard pop band based out of Atlanta, Georgia. We just put out a new music video, so you can look that up on YouTube. Definitely watch it to the end because there's a twist. You might think you know what's going on, but you don't. So, yeah, and, we play fun music. We drink a lot of beer and wear face paint and scare people. So, I mean, that's pretty much the gist of what we do. And aside from that, I'm currently doing video game reviews for games on bloodyblue.com. So it's blue like Blu-ray, bloodyblue.com. And, yeah, just check out the gaming tab, and you'll see all my stuff. I'm their gaming person.
Yeah, you actually did your first YouTube video. I saw it last week, and you did a review of Evil Within 2. And I have to say, man, for a first-time YouTube video, it was really, really good. Like, it was really good. I mean, I look at that and I see the way that I started out and I'm like, holy shit, man, I had no idea what I was doing. But your video is really good. Like, I thought the production and just the style that you present was really well done. Really cool.
Well, that's cool, man. I appreciate that because, I mean, I learned a lot from you, like, talking to you, watching your videos. Like, honestly, I really wasn't very in touch with the gaming reviewer YouTube side of YouTube.
Yeah.
And I was not really familiar with that world until I saw you doing it, you and James and the podcast and all that stuff. And I'm like, this is really cool. And I'm like, video games are something that I love to talk about, but I never, like, none of my friends are really into gaming. So, like, at all. So, they're like, yeah, we talk about music and stuff like that, but when it comes to gaming, I really have nobody to talk to about it. So I'm like, hey, a fucking YouTube channel is perfect for me. So I learned a lot from you. I asked you a lot of questions, and you were very gracious in your feedback and everything. And you've helped me out a lot, and I feel like they're going to get even better because I finally ordered the microphone you suggested, and I'm stepping up my production a little bit. So hopefully things go good, man. It's a lot of fun either way.
Oh, yeah, and that's the main thing, is to have fun. And the crazy thing is, and I remember we were talking about this on the episode that is this episode when we were trying to record it last week, is we were talking about how different it is talking about a video game to a camera as opposed to a person. And that can be such a weird, like, alien kind of moment when you're staring at a camera and you're talking passionately about a game and you're not getting that organic feedback as you would if you're, like, at work or maybe at a bar talking to someone else that plays video games. That's like the hardest part when you first start YouTube, in my opinion.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like, the little stuff like technical issues will work themselves out over time as I do it more. But stuff like that, like, you have to just get in the right mindset and be like, like, it's hard. You start stumbling. You'll start realizing words that you say over and over again that you never knew that you said.
Yeah,
and you'll be
like and like.
Yeah, exactly. So it's stuff like that. But, you get used to it. I feel a lot more comfortable. Like, I just finished my second video, and it's up on YouTube now. It was for Friday the 13th. And I felt a lot more confident doing that one. And I feel like that one came together really well.
Well, not giving out your review too much, because I do encourage the listeners to check it out. I'll have a link on the description of this episode to your Evil Within 2 and your latest Friday the 13th review for them to check out.
Thank you.
But let me just ask you this. Has Friday the 13th, the game, like, kind of lived up to the expectations that you were looking at?
Well, so I didn't buy it until the physical copy came out on October 13th, and I was like, I pretty much collect everything Friday the 13th, so I picked it up just for that reason, and I'm very underwhelmed, but I do feel like it has a really good foundation, so I feel like it's one of those games that'll be really good in, like, 6 months to a year, but right now it's not that good.
So I remember early on, like, I got it when it came out, and, like, I told Ryan about it earlier on. The main aspect I hear, and some things I've heard kind of changed, I had some good friends that played it a lot. I played a little bit. It was very hard to get on when I started, because actually I don't think I ever really talked about it on the show much. I never got to be Jason. I kind of like being the campers. But I don't know. I got into a group, and I don't know if I died extra early, and I remember somebody was, like, talking to me, and they're like, if you don't have a mic, get off. And I was like, like, I was fucking drinking, and it's like, if I'd probably had a few more drinks, I probably would have just started cussing at him and told him to piss off. But I was like, what? I was like, fuck y'all. I don't want to play shit anyway. So if you can get a good group of friends, and I heard communication is the key, and I am typically an antisocial person, especially with just random people online. I enjoy playing something like Jeopardy, where I don't have to fucking talk to people. And I heard that was a big aspect, as far as the teamwork. But a good friend of mine,
It is.
Joe Vesta, singer of Darrow Chemical Company, very cool dude. He's really big on playing on it, and a couple other friends of mine. And he said a lot of people don't even talk to each other anymore. But I did hear him speak on the goodness of the new maps and things they released, because when I played it, there was 2 or 3, and they've added a couple other ones that I heard were really big and really awesome. I honestly think I deleted it off of my system just to make room for something else, because, I don't know, somebody says something to me, hurt my feelings. I was like, I'm done. That's why I don't like playing online. At least a little kid didn't call me like a fucking, faggot or something on there. So at least I could deal with that.
I knew exactly what you were going to say, by the way.
Yeah. I wouldn't mind at some point, getting on, with the group, with some of us. And like I said, I know a couple people because, it takes up to, it's like 7 or 8 players at once. If there's one random cert. But if you get a group of good friends to play, I actually wouldn't mind getting into it again, and I imagine it really would be fun. It's a game that really embraces the multiplayer online aspect. They do have a single-player version coming, which I still would play. Like, I don't really know how. I mean, I really think, like I said, if you've got a good group of people, friends playing, I really think that would be the optimum way it's really meant to play. But I still would check out, the single player. It's like I'm still getting used to these games, certain ones where it is an online experience. I'm so used to just being able to sit and play it on my own that it's still something different. I'm still really new to playing with other random people online, and sometimes it's not always fun,
Yeah, there's some really good stuff they've added, and the kills are really awesome. And the atmosphere is there. It's just not quite what it should be yet. I mean, there's so many glitches, and like if the person playing Jason leaves, then the whole game shuts down. It's like stuff that. It's really aggravating because you're like getting into it, and you're like there's one point I was like hiding under a bed for like 10 minutes, and I was like, oh, is Jason gonna find me? Is Jason gonna find me? And then comes. I come to find out that Jason was just sitting there, and like the guy had left. Yeah, so he never found me because there's nobody playing as him, and I was like, well, that's lame. It's like stuff like that kind of takes you out of it,
It's kind of like it's like when you play those games of Halo, and there's that one person that may have had to take like a bathroom break or something, so they're still at the spawn point, and they're just like facing the wall. So you just start like stick grenades at them and get easy kills.
Yeah, exactly. It's like that, but with Jason.
It's like my classic days of playing like wrestling on the 64, and it's like you could always tell when somebody fell asleep because they were just kind of like walking in the turnbuckle. It's like you fell asleep with your thumb on the stick, and they're just sitting there walking in the corner, and it's like, wake up.
Hell, I've done that playing fucking Yakuza. I was playing Yakuza 3 one time, and I was like dozing off, and I woke up to the sounds of Kiru's like walking into something, and he's like,
I know that voice, that sound that you're talking about.
Oh man, but yeah, I mean, now let me ask you this, and I know you guys will probably have a good opinion on this as well. If this game does as well as it's supposed to, and maybe later on it becomes like a very like cult classic like multiplayer, I would love for us to have like an online Nightmare on Elm Street and have it, because hear me out, like wouldn't it be awesome if we had a Nightmare on Elm Street that was kind of like Eternal Darkness in the sense that, in Eternal Darkness when you start to go insane how things start changing, but imagine instead of that being like the insane meter, it's like the sleep meter. Like when you start getting sleepy, things start changing and eventually Freddy comes out after you. How awesome would that fucking be?
Dude, that would be extremely awesome. I know that they're releasing some DLC for Dead by Daylight, which I haven't played yet, where you can be Freddy or be against Freddy, but I don't think they've thought it through like that at all. I think it's just, it's like the Jason thing. It's just Freddy kills you, and then you're dead.
Yeah, because that one has a couple other...
next level shit.
Yeah, that one's got a couple other, like Michael Myers, I think, like Leatherface. a lot of different ones mixed in. But I mean, Friday the 13th, like I said, if it does, good enough on the sales, be interesting. I've heard like the physical one has become a little bit harder to find even. I don't know how many they put out, a massive stock. But I think you will see, we saw a lot of these characters in Mortal Kombat, which, a lot of people, really love seeing those. Really cool to have them in there. And, I think with that game and, the Dead by Daylight, all these coming out, it's like you could. So I was thinking, you very well could see the Freddy game sounds, that particular way would be really awesome to see it. You would really have to do something like that to get, the full effect.
Yeah, because you would get like, like medicine maybe to like keep you up, like caffeine pills. Imagine
Adderall and cocaine.
Imagine your characters like, in their house or whatever, and you start falling asleep and you're walking by a television and the television like static starts coming through and you start seeing Freddy and he's like extending his arm out of the fucking television screen. You got to run from it. I think that would just be awesome. That would be like game of the year for me.
That would be amazing. Like if they could actually, and that's the thing about the Friday the 13th game. They do capture the atmosphere of the films, which is easier to do than Nightmare. But it's one of those things. They do capture the atmosphere. So like, I don't hate the game. I just wish there was more of it, and I wish it worked better.
Oh, here, I'll add a cherry to the top of it. Imagine all of this that we're talking about, the Nightmare on Elm Street, and imagine on fucking PS4 VR.
Oh my god, that would be insane. Probably too much.
Well, I was about to ask you, because I mentioned PS4 VR. Now, last time you were on our episode, you were an early adopter of the PS4 VR, and I want to ask you now, like a year later, how are you enjoying the PS4 VR?
Well, whoever bought mine from GameStop is probably loving it.
Oh shit!
Yeah, well. All right, so here's my thing. Like, there's a few problems I was running into. Like, if you have glasses, then you're going to scratch up the lenses. And if I don't wear my glasses while I play it, then everything's blurry. And I don't like contacts. I just don't do them. So that was a problem for me. And I muscled through it for a while, but then I noticed the lenses were getting scratched. And then on top of that, they basically, aside from Resident Evil, like they haven't really made any like full games for it, just like experiences. And then those kept getting lighter and lighter every month. It would be like, here's like one 20-minute thing for you. Enjoy. And then that was it. And it was like, hey, and it's $20 too, And I was like, this is not what I wanted.
No, that's a key too, and I will thank you too for like saving me, because I asked you for some reason. I don't know if I watched a video or something on PSVR. I was listening to a podcast and they were talking about some VR and we're having a good time, and I was like, man, like I'm working a whole bunch. Like I want PSVR. I don't know. I was drunk. I don't know what happened, and I remember I asked Ryan. I was like, dude, should I get PlayStation VR or Switch? You were like, man, I have had way more fun with my Switch in this short amount of time than I ever had with VR. There's not that many games, and that was what I did. And I mean, that was, great, dude. Who doesn't? Man, if you got a Switch, I know you love it. Everybody does if you got one.
It's the best. It's the best console I've ever owned, I think. I know that sounds extreme, and I've thought about this before I said it. I really think the Switch is one of the best consoles I've ever had, because everything works exactly how I want it to work. Like, I haven't had a single problem with it ever.
Yeah, I was about to say, because my two main consoles is like my PS4 and my Switch, and I'll be honest, there's a lot of great PlayStation 4 games coming out. Matter of fact, I'm going to segue and talk about the new PlayStation 4 Plus games coming out this month. But before that, there's a lot of great games on the PlayStation 4. Wolfenstein 2 looks badass. I want to play that.
Yes, it does.
And there's a couple of other games. There's a couple other games that just came out, a couple months ago. A good example would be like Horizon Zero Dawn. I haven't played that yet. I really want to play it. So, my PS4 isn't collecting dust per se, but I can kind of say that right now, the only game that I'm looking forward to for the PS4 that I'm like, okay, I got to get this day one, for now anyway, is Yakuza 6. Everything else is coming out in the next couple of months are on the Switch. December, Xenoblade Chronicles 2. I want to get that. And also after that is a little indie title that's coming out called Longest 5 Minutes. And what this is it's an old school RPG, top-down, retro Super Nintendo look. But the game takes place at the very end of the game where you're about to battle the last monster, last boss, and you automatically lose your memory. And the part of this whole game is you're coming back with what gave you the drive to battle from the beginning. And you're trying to figure out everything that's going through your mind before you go against this boss. So I was like, that's a really interesting concept, because usually, the game starts off where the hero has amnesia, like Cloud or Squall or something like that. Like they have some sort of memory loss in the beginning of the game, not towards the very end. I mean, this would be like you're playing Final Fantasy VII, you're Cloud, you're about to battle, Sephiroth. The One Wing Angel theme starts playing, and all of a sudden Cloud's just like, well, why am I here? So I was like, this is kind of cool. So I mean, I got that pre-ordered. I mean, Sonic Forces comes out on the 7th, and I know that's like a multi-plat, but I'm weird in the sense that when a Sonic game comes out, I want to get it on a Nintendo platform, because I feel like that's the closest to old school Sega in a weird way. And I mean, it's really all I can think of at the moment. I mean, we still have...
There's another game, too. I'll talk about one of the games I was playing later on, but like the Wolverblade is the newer beat-em-up game. And there's another one, too, coming. I cannot remember the name of it, but I remember these two reading about both at the same time. And one is later in the year, maybe in December. It seems to be a little bit more like D&D, that style, like a beat-em-up game. Even maybe the graphics up a little bit more, not as cartoony as Wolverblade, but I know that one's coming. A lot of people seem to be, dropping some more exclusive titles on the Switch. The people that are like, oh, there's nothing to play. And it's just like, I don't know. Come on.
I just go on the eShop.
Yeah, dude, I have games I've bought and I haven't touched yet. I got games in the cartridges. So much. It's just fun. Every time I turn on the eShop, it's like, Dad, I gotta get this. Some I've been waiting on, and they just pop up. I mean, there really is a time. You get the portability factor of it. Some people might have had some issues, with their system here and there. I haven't, like y'all haven't had like a single one. Anytime I've had to use any little bit of motion control in a game, like it's not bad. It doesn't feel like, completely forced. It's just like a minor thing. It's just been which is what you kind of expect from Nintendo. You just want a really fun system, and that's what it ended up being. And I mean, that was one of the best decisions I'd made. As much as I do love my PS4, I'm mainly, like y'all, it's like I'm playing the Switch more than anything else.
Yeah, I've been going back and forth between the PS4 and the Switch. So I think we're all in the same boat. And there are tons of games coming out that I want to play on PS4, but right now the Switch has my interest. I mean, Super Mario Odyssey is one of the most fun times I've ever had with a game. Like, I'm having such a blast with that game.
Oh yeah. We're definitely going to get into some talks of Mario Odyssey after our break, because we're going to talk a little bit more about the gaming news, and then we're going to go take our break, and then we're going to come back into some Mario Odyssey and Halloween talk. The thing I wanted to look up and tell you guys, though, is we were talking about the PS4, and the PlayStation games that are coming out this month for November. For PlayStation 4, we have Bound, Dungeon Punks, which is also cross-play with the Vita, Until Dawn Rush of Blood, which is a VR.
It's a great game.
There you go.
It's an amazing game. I will say that.
And Worms Battlegrounds. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I have a soft spot for Worms. I love Worms. I'm really curious about this.
I haven't played one in a while, but I used to love them, so I'm sure I still do.
And also on the PS3, isn't it amazing that we're still getting free PlayStation Plus games on the PS3?
Yeah, it is.
Well,
it's almost kind of odd, even,
Yeah,
it's like,
wow. Really weird.
It's cool though, because a lot of people still got a PS3, and I always believe in giving love to the people that still have the older systems for as long as feasibly possible.
Well, on the PS3, you have R-Type Dimensions and Ragdoll Kung Fu Fist of Plastic, which sounds really fucking awesome.
Sounds like something I'd play.
Yeah, I haven't looked up anything about this game, but Ragdoll Kung Fu Fist of Plastic sounds amazing. And for the Vita, is Broken Sword 5, The Serpent's Curse, episodes 1 and 2, and Dungeon Punks, which is, of course, on PS4 as well. But guys, I had to be quite honest. I haven't had PlayStation Plus in about 6 months. There hasn't really been any games on the PlayStation Plus that I've been like, ooh, I gotta renew my subscription. I don't play online that much.
Yeah, I went a few months without it, and then they did the Metal Gear Solid 5 in October and Amnesia, and I had played Metal Gear Solid 5, but I didn't own it, so I was like, well, that's cool, and then Amnesia I haven't played at all, so that was kind of worth it for me.
Indeed. And some more news, get into some of the Nintendo news. Apparently Reggie, the American CEO of Nintendo, or CEO of America with Nintendo, has kind of talked a little bit about the Nintendo Switch Online. Now, it looks like that's going to be coming 2018, and they've already hinted and kind of said that January they're having another Nintendo Direct. And I think what they're going to do is they're going to cover a lot of online, maybe show us some more progress in Metroid Prime 4, because that was announced at E3, and maybe some Pokemon news, because, the new Pokemon Ultra Sun and Moon is actually the last Pokemon that's come out for the 3DS. They're going to be going straight Switch afterwards. But this is his little quote that he said about, he's like, I'm not going to tell you exactly what it's going to be like. We'll share more about this next year, but what I am going to tell you is our vision is to have a robust online environment that not only provides the mechanicalism for you to have a multiplayer experience and matchmaking, these elements are a minimum. Our goal is to provide the extra Nintendo twist that makes what our company historically is so effective on. We don't do things the same way as everyone else does, and we relish being different. We see that difference as an element that makes us more compelling to the consumer, and so having a different experience is what we focus on, and we'll reveal this more next year closer to the launch of the service. Now, just to give you guys a refresher, they did confirm that the online, it's only going to be $20. It's not going to be that expensive. They said it was going to be $20. This was back in, I believe, June. They talked about.
Is this $20 for a year?
Yes.
That's insane.
It's going to be $20 for a year, and they
I can't do $20 a month.
But it's going to be $20 a year, and they've talked about the fact that you'll get every month you'll get a free retro game, and you can then decide if you want to buy it towards the end of the month, or you can just hold on to it until your subscription runs out. But this retro game will also have online capability, like Contra 3. I mean, these are all things that's been confirmed and also rumorized as well. So I think we'll see more about it next year. But I mean, just the price itself that was confirmed, $20 a year. I mean, that's awesome. That's really cool for me. I like that.
That's even if I get just a couple games a year that I like, that seems worth it to me.
Yeah, with that, it's like a dollar something a month. And I'm really interested and have been because I heard about, for a while about some of the, their games having that online capability. Before I talk about I don't really want to play these big, online only games, but shit, man, if I could just go on and play Contra, Double Dragon, whatever, something like that, and play with a friend online. And granted, I know, there's been the capability to do that with emulators and stuff for a while, but just to have it on a system where it's easy and get on and play that, I'm more excited about that than any other type of playing together online. It's just some old crap online together with a friend in another city. Sounds great.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
I mean, I'm just thinking how awesome it would be if all of us got together and we played Final Fight.
God, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I would love that. And now they did talk about the 3DS as well, because with the Switch being a hybrid console, a lot of people have been talking about the 3DS, about exactly what's the role of the 3DS. Well, Reggie answered that. He says the role for the Nintendo 3DS is a family of systems that range from hardware standpoint from $80 to $199.99. It has a back catalog of well over 1,000 games. We see this system doing two things for us. One, it's an entry vehicle if you're a mom or dad and you're trying to take care of multiple kids and give them a great experience that you feel good about. A couple of 2DSs as a holiday purchase is a fantastic value. And again, you get access to all this great content. Similarly, if you are an active gamer and have a particular game that you have to get your hands on, and if you only have a 3DS, well, then buying a 2DS XL or 3DS XL is a great way to scratch that itch. That's the role that that's gonna play for us. It's gonna be an entry vehicle, a vehicle where you have to play a particular game that's only available as a part of the library of games on the 2DS and 3DS. That's the play and that's the perspective. It's been very effective for us, and we believe that it will continue to be very effective. He also added, this past weekend I was in Florida, and I was going all through Walmart. Imagine Reggie in Walmart. I'm going through Target, and I'm looking across the landscape of customers, and not every customer is going to be able to afford a $299 hardware plus a couple of games and maybe some amiibo. It's a 400 or 500 position where a Nintendo 2DS or 3DS, you can satisfy a lot of holiday gifts for $100 to $200 a purchase, and this is a key strategic advantage. It sounds like to me that they're using this 3DS as like, we have a fantastic handheld console and it's affordable, and this to me sounds like they're like holiday, last minute, maybe you don't have as much money, but you want to make your kid happy kind of gift. Sounds like the affordable, nice Christmas gift.
I mean, it's like a really great, it is. Like if your kid doesn't have one of those systems, the prices sounds like, either they're at that now, they might drop a little bit. Like I said, the library, seriously, I mean, they put out Metroid. Metro Returns is a really big, game. And I can imagine them still doing other, Mario, especially like the RPG, a ton of great ones. Them putting out, a decent title now and then, maybe some other companies that have put out other titles on there, might put some sequels. And then, of course, you'll get, like a bunch of crap, which, it's just par for the course. That's going to kind of happen sometimes. But just to know that they still have the support for it, and hopefully other companies will too. And, there'll still be games that, even, we as 3DS owners will want to go out and get too.
Yeah, exactly. And I
totally agree. There's tons of, like you said, the catalog is so huge. There's tons of games that I didn't even realize are out for the 3DS that I'm like, oh, holy crap, I would love to play that. So, I mean, it's good to have that option. And, it's going to be hard to replicate that catalog on the Switch. So it makes sense for them to carry it on as long as they can go, I think.
Well,
I tell you want to have some fun, go to like a GameStop and go in like the 3DS section and just spend like $20 and just buy like a bunch of crap. Like just be like, what is this, Red Bull something? I bought some Red Bull like Bronco. I think it's a bull riding game, or either it's a dancing game. I'm not really sure. I didn't play it that much, but it was like 99 cents. I mean, you can just dig through and like I said, there's a lot of like shovelware crap, but I actually enjoy a lot of that. There's a lot of like word games, kind of like little brain teaser games if you're into that, as opposed to just, like some junk. But even the junk for 99 cents can be a lot of fun. So, I mean, there's so options. You actually have, so many great games, some kind of a little bit more weird, obscure games, and then you got like a ton of just garbage that you can have fun with. I mean, this is such that might not sound like the greatest endorsement with a ton of garbage, but it is just a really fun system, and it's good to see it going. Like, will that be their last handheld? I wonder, and like, will that shift go into with the Switch? Like, are we looking at kind of like the end of an era, or will it be something else later on? It's like you just never really know.
Well, I mean, first off, I want to tell my listeners, because I know when James was first talking about the 3DS, I think the audio kind of cut out a little bit, but I fixed it while we were all talking about the 3DS. But I really think, the more I think about the 3DS, I don't think it's going to be the last Nintendo handheld console, but I think it's going to be the quote-unquote affordable position for consumers. I think this is going to be like, you know, if you can't get the Nintendo Switch, you can get the 3DS. You know, I think it's going to be like this weird kind of, where like the Switch is like the platinum gift, and this is like the gold or bronze, if that makes any sense.
It's like your consolation prize.
Yeah,
but
I mean,
it's a great one.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, not to downplay the 3DS by any means, because the 3DS is a really great handheld, and I would love to see 3DS games come to the Switch even, because, I mean, I know people that don't like handheld gaming that will refuse to play handheld games, and I'm like, dude, just step out of your bubble and play some of these games, because, I mean, there's some fantastic titles on the 3DS, and it's also backwards compatible with the original DS, so, I mean, you have so many freaking games that you can play, not just on these little carts, but also on the eShop. I mean, I checked on my 3DS about a couple months ago. I was playing my 3DS, and I decided to go on the eShop, and I don't go on the eShop enough on the 3DS, and there were so many games. I was like, oh, I didn't even know this was a thing. Now, keep in mind that there were a lot of games on the eShop that I couldn't play because some of them required the new 3DS, and I had the original 3DS XL. So, I mean, like, some of the games, like, you know, like, especially the Super Nintendo games like Earthbound, unfortunately, I couldn't play, which I thought was stupid, but it is what it is.
Do they label it pretty clearly on whether or not you can play it?
Yeah, I mean, like, when you go to download it, it says compatible for new 3DS, and you're like, oh, I don't have a new 3DS. But I mean, they did come out with the new 2DS XL, which is, you know, I think like less than $200. And I was like, you know, I've been thinking about getting it myself. I kind of want to get the white and orange one because it kind of makes you think of cake. And I'm like, that looks delicious.
Like creamsicles.
Yeah, I was like, this looks delicious. But I was thinking about getting that because, I mean, I've had this XL for, you know, since we started the podcast, like 7 years, and there's nothing wrong with it. It's just, you know, I'd like to have the new version, despite the fact that if I get the new 2DS, it doesn't have the 3D, which I never play it with the 3D anyway, so it wouldn't really bother me.
Yeah, the 3D for so many games, it's not necessary. I mean, whether you can get it, you know, I'd say if you can, get a new one, you know, the new version. So many games they put out, like, I haven't seen that many that are specific to that. So, you know, if you can only go with what is probably the more affordable option, if it's one of the older models, it's just still a regular 3DS, 2DS, any one of those, it's still so open, you know. There's so much you can play. You're not really cut off, but the optimum thing, too, you know, I wouldn't mind having one myself just to have that option. But for me at the time, that was still not quite that necessary. Maybe one day.
Well, I did see a rumor that they have the original, like, 2DS. You remember how that one looked? How it looked almost like a Game Boy? They have supposedly, this is all rumored, hasn't been confirmed, but apparently they're selling that for Black Friday, and it's green, and it's got, like, Ocarina of Time on it, like, as a download. I think that's supposed to be some, like, little cheap Black Friday exclusive that probably mostly collectors are going to get. Let's face it. I mean, those are probably the people that will get, like, 3 or 4 of them, be like, I got this on my shelf. But, I think it's really cool. I mean, you know, for someone who's never played Ocarina of Time, I think the 3DS version instead of the definitive version anyway, it looks great.
Yeah, that's still a good one. There'll probably be some crazy deals, like you said, on that if you can stand the rush. Or there'll probably be some stuff on Amazon, you know, maybe the GameStop website you can just order off of too, so you don't have to fight all the brutal crowds.
I have the same Black Friday tradition every year. I go to my parents who live like in the mountains in the middle of nowhere, but they have a Walmart up there. So every year they do a Black Friday, and the Black Friday crowds are way smaller than any other place, and then they always have discounted PS4 games. So
oh my gosh.
I always go there, and I just stack up. Like, I got so many games last year. I got like the new Tomb Raider and the Batman Arkham Collection and like all that stuff, and all of it was like $10 a game.
Huh.
And I had a stack. It was awesome. And I just like, I have to be there anyways because it's where my parents live, and I got to celebrate Christmas. But then I'm like, Thanksgiving. But I do both. But, Thanksgiving I'm up there. And then afterwards, after we eat, I'm like, all right, I'm going to Walmart.
Well, we're
going to Walmart and clean house.
Well, what we're going to do, guys, we're going to take a quick break. And we're going to listen to some Casket Creatures. And when we come back, when you mentioned Black Friday and you mentioned GameStop, when we come back, we're going to be talking about GameStop's new rental service that's coming out. I want to get your guys' input on that. So we're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about Xbox One, playing OG Xbox games, talking about some Halloween goodness and some Mario Odyssey. It's going to be a lot of fun. Anyway, guys, sit back, relax. We'll be right back.
I see them walk through the shadows and through my halls. The dead seem to move around behind these walls, 'cause the dead won't die another day, and I know I'll find a way. We unlock the secrets to immortality. Lose their souls, 'cause the dead won't die another day, and I know I'll find a way. We unlock the secrets to immortality. Tattooed by myself, we raise the dead. Whoa, I know I'm burning hell. We raise the dead. Whoa, I did it my own way. We raise the dead. When hell is where we'll stay, we raise the dead. We raise the dead. Didn't do it by myself. We raise the dead. Whoa, I know I'll burn in hell. We raise the dead. Whoa, I did it my own way. We raise the dead. Whoa, when hell is where we'll stay, we raise the dead.
And we are back, guys, and this was the latest music video tune from the Casket Creatures, Rise the Dead. It's actually the fourth video that they've done for their new album, Deranged. And you guys can check that out. I'm actually going to have a link on the description to the YouTube video and their Reverbnation, so you guys can check out the Casket Creatures with our good.
We really appreciate that.
I was like, with our good guest Ryan Cadaver that's on their show. Now, right before we left, I was like, oh man, we got to talk about this because Ryan, you mentioned Black Friday, you mentioned GameStop, and I'm like, oh yeah, I was totally going to let this slip under the radar, not even thinking about it because I was too busy, with the other gaming news. But this was actually some big news. The GameStop is now offering a new service that will let customers rent a used game and play it as much as they want and return it and check out another title as often as they'd like. The deal, confirmed by GameStop, was first spotted in Elite Magazine and spotted user Virtua on the Reset Era gaming forum via Polygon. The new program, called Power Pass, costs $60 for 6 months and allows customers to borrow any used game that GameStop has to offer. Plus, at the end of the 6-month period, you'll be able to keep whatever the last title you checked out was. And I'm reading a little bit more about this. Looking closer at the fine print, the only catch is that you must need to be a GameStop Power Up Rewards member. And it says you can sign up to the free version of the membership, which works fine, but you'll be limited to whatever used games are available at your local GameStop store. It says, according to GameStop, the new service will be available the week of November 13th, so it's right around the corner. And this can be also bought as a gift for someone else, so as long as they also are a Power Up Rewards member. Man, that would be a bummer. Be like, hey, I got you this new rental service, but I'm not a Power Up Reward member. Oh, that sucks. As someone else who likes to play a lot of games and lives near a GameStop, however, this sounds like a pretty good deal. Now, what are your guys' thoughts about this? I want to ask you, Ryan, and you, James, and I'm going to kind of give my overall thoughts about it.
I'm torn. There's a couple of cool ideas behind this, and I think it would be fun. That being said, like, I use Redbox occasionally, but usually I just wait. If I really want to play a game, I either buy it when it comes out, or I wait till I can find a really good deal on it, depending on my interest level for it. And a lot of times I do that through the pre-owned, gaming. So, like, I'll get coupons for, like, $10 off a pre-owned game with my Power Up Rewards. I'm kind of worried that the selection is going to be more limited if everybody's renting all the games.
Yeah. What about you, James?
That'd be me. I might be the guy like renting the game because I kind of like the idea. I'd heard a little bit about this. I've always kind of been curious about Redbox, but I've honestly never used one, and it's like a new experience, and like I don't want to do anything new unless I absolutely have to. So I was kind of questionable about it. It was like GameStop, like I'm a Power Up member. I can probably just register it through there. Probably just put it on like my GameStop card. And, if there was a time when a lot of stuff was coming out, I'd like to try. Because sometimes I have a very short attention span. I could buy a game, and it's really not worth me buying it. It's cool having it, down the road. I was like, I've got a ton of PS3 games. Like, I don't play any of these. But it's cool to have that option. But I do like the idea, but like Ryan said, that you gotta wonder, because they say limited games available as far as renting. It's like GameStop's always got stuff available, but if all the people are renting those, then the people that want to buy them might not be able, to buy them. They might go other places. Like, could it be a double-edged sword for GameStop? I like the idea. I think I would, I would try it out more for like the, trying more PS4 games. That option of keeping a game, because if you have a game that's almost worth $60 and then what you paid, you're kind of getting to try out a bunch of other stuff almost for free in a sense. At the time now, I do really like buying Switch games. So, that could be an option where I could focus more of my money on buying, actual Switch titles. And I'm sure we might mention, too, like the limited run thing. They're going to have some Switch titles coming up. It's going to be a lot of cool options for the Switch. So if there's any PS4 things, I could just, rent them that way. Looking forward to it and see how it works out. And it's a very interesting thing. We see, the decline of the rental as far as brick and mortar stores, but you see it rising at the beginning of Netflix. They morph to a streaming more. You had that. Your GameFly is going into Redbox. You see more, lots of VHS collectors. I see people, opening up actual brick and mortar stores once again. You have to be in the right area, have the right market. But people are into, especially if you have VHS tapes too, people are kind of into that. You're always going to have that weird, kind of counterculture, just old school people that grew up with those. They're going to, attract to that. So there's a lot of us that are older now that grew up renting things, and that could be a market they hit on. Sometimes people just want to spend a little bit, try whatever you want, end up with a game at the end. I think it sounds kind of cool, man. Cheers to GameStop. I just want to see how it works out.
I think that it's cool if they limit, like, they're not going to limit what store you can get it from, right? Like, you don't have to sign up at a store. You can just go to any GameStop.
Yeah, any GameStop that's local to you.
Well, that's cool because you can usually look up online and see what they have in stock, I'm sure. So
yeah,
that actually would make renting pretty easily. So pretty easy.
And plus, I mean, I don't know about your demographics, Ryan, but I have like freaking 8 GameStops in my town, and my town's not even that big.
Around me.
So
I have 4 that are all very close.
So I mean, here's my thing about it. Now, I think this is a good idea for maybe someone like myself that, I like to review a lot of games. I like to play a lot of games, but I'll be honest, I don't have the money to constantly go out and get games. So I think this would be kind of cool if you're someone who just wants to try out stuff, and you pay that $60 a year or $60 for 6 months, and try out any game. My only concern is I'm hoping that this doesn't like make the used market in GameStop like start to dry up. Like, what happens if like you really want to get like say 3D Dot Heroes on the PlayStation 3, and you go to your local GameStop because you saw like, oh man, they have 3D Dot Heroes, and you go there and you were there like 5 minutes later that someone went and they rented it. Like there's going to be a time.
That's my biggest concern, because like sometimes there are certain games that I really want to buy, but sometimes you can't find them new at GameStop. You have to buy them used, and if they're all checked out, then I'm not going to be able to buy them.
Yeah, so I mean,
or whenever they do sales.
Yeah, so I mean that's. So yeah, I mean that's my concern. I mean that's the one thing that I'm thinking about. Again, I think this would be great for people that review games, or they just like playing video games. I mean, let's face it, not everyone wants to have a PS4 collection. Not everyone wants to have a Switch collection. Some people just like playing video games, and I think this would be a great way to play games at an affordable price, because you think about it, you're paying $60 for 6 months. That's the price of like one brand new game. So you're buying one brand new game, and you could possibly play, if you're that hardcore in playing games, you could possibly play like 8 or 9 games for the price of 60. So I mean, that's not a bad way of looking at it. I just think that it's definitely going to have some trials and errors, and I'm really curious about how it's going to come out. I mean, what about the people who don't return the used games? That's something else.
Probably have, they could lose the stock, but much like anything, you're going to have something, some kind of card on file.
Yeah.
Where they'll at least, dock you for it. And I wonder if it's open to everything they have too. Like, can I rent some old crappy Wii game? That'd be bad at the end of the cycle, man, if you just had like some, dollar Wii game. And then it was like, there, you can keep that. It's like, that part's weird to me. Like, I don't understand that part. It seems like you'd be like, your favorite game you rented out of that 6-month cycle or something like that. It's just weird that it's the last one you have. Because what if you're like me and you don't keep up with shit, and then you're like sitting there with like some $2 3DS game, and you're like, oh crap.
And you're like, this is that garbage game that James was telling me about.
Yeah,
I read the whole Red Bull dancing thing. Damn it!
That's the fun part, You could, it's a good timer. It's like avoiding a late fee at a video store, which I was always pretty bad at. It's gonna add a little bit of gamble to it. It'll be fun. I think I like it.
Something in Persona, and that's not even real life. But I'm still always late at returning my DVDs.
I know.
I was about to say, James, did you ever get in trouble for not rewinding your VHS tapes?
No, I was always pretty good with that. We had one of those rewinders, sometimes that you had to be careful later on because they would break your tapes if you had one. It's like videotape rewinders are not a good idea. Somebody just scammed the world when those came out. But once in a while I returned one of my own videos one time to the store. It wasn't like a porn or anything like that. It was just I think like the 3 movies I recorded off of like AMC during like a horror marathon, and they called me. They were like, did you? I was like, oh yeah, shit, sorry. And I brought it back, and I went there all the time. I don't even know if I got a late fee out of that, and just got my tape back.
Now, it is the season to be scary. It is Halloween, or it was Halloween. And one of the topics that I wanted to touch base on, and I thought would be a really cool discussion for all of us, is talk about something in a video game that scared us that was initially supposed to be scary. Like we hear everyone talk about, Resident Evil when the dog jumps out of the window, or Silent Hill with Pyramid Head, or Clock Tower with that dreaded Scissor Man. But let's talk about some stuff that might surprise our listeners that kind of scared us. And I'm going to throw the mic to you, Ryan, since you are our lovely guest tonight.
Yeah, man, I would say that Super Mario 64, the piano, scared the crap out of me. Which I know was supposed to be scary, but it was too scary for me.
Well, I think it was scary too because it was so not Mario.
No, not at all, man.
You
It was
know-
like completely unexpected.
Oh man, yeah, that was definitely like surprising for me. And what about you, James?
There's kind of a theme with Mario. Is I'll go back to like Mario 2, in a sense, and we've mentioned before those damn masks. I can't think of their name. Just them. Anytime you grab the key, they come after you. Even Birdo, and I think the thing with Birdo, he's just kind of an odd creature, but the music that goes along with it. Music is always a factor in so many of these games, whether it's just a time limit running out or something to that extent, where it kind of brings up your anxiety level that can borderline on fear, because it feels like something is chasing you with a time limit. It's like, I have to get done, even if there is nothing after you, which that's also pretty scary too, if there is something
Even if
after
they
you.
give you plenty of time.
Yeah.
It's still stressful. As soon as I see a time limit, I'm freaking out.
Yeah, I was about to say that's one of my things that kind of scares me when I'm playing games. Also, the chase factor, which is funny because I was more scared of those damn masks in Super Mario 2 than I was Nemesis and Resident Evil. Like Resident Evil 3 with Nemesis was pretty scary, but when you saw that mask and it was almost like Indiana Jones, like Raiders of the Lost Ark, like you slowly grabbed the fucking key and you heard it make this fart sound and it just started going after you. I hated that. And so I hate time limits. I also hate it when, like, on Sonic, man, you'd be under the water and he'd start drowning and, like, Tails would grab your last bubble and you would end up dying. Oh, my God. That was, like, anxiety levels of tension in Sonic when you'd go in the water and Tails would just screw you over. And another game that kind of scared me a little bit was going back to Mario is Super Mario Brothers or Super Mario World. And that was the ghost, the haunted castle or haunted house theme. Something about it with those like synthesized like, ooh, just, oh my God, man. That just, I don't know. It kind of freaked me out. Like, I didn't want to play those levels at night when I was a kid. It's really weird.
Nah, it is such an odd game because even though the ghost, it is a ghost house, it's supposed to be scary, but it's Mario, and you kind of wouldn't think it would have like that level of heaviness. For me, sometimes too, just older games, going into the Atari, Coleco, some of the ones around that time. No matter the game, they can have that right mixture of graphics and with that old style of music that just always kind of makes them a little bit unsettling no matter what the game is, because a lot of those would have timers, sometimes just little bloops and bleeps that happen that just, depending on when you're playing it and it hits you in that right or wrong way, it's just a bit unnerving.
I don't know, it's like almost like those little tings and beeps and boops has some type of like sound that makes us feel nervous. A game that I also thought about that kind of scared me a little bit was Maniac Mansion. The way they would chase you down, and it was like Texas Chainsaw Massacre of scientists. Because they would like chase you down and they'd be like, I got you, and then you had to go to your other character, and I was always like, man, what'd they take me, like what's going on? I mean, that was one of those games that I bought when I was younger. I bought it or I rented it, and I had no idea what I was getting myself into. And plus, the fact that it was like a point-and-click game on the NES was also very new to me at the time. So that game really kind of made an impact on me on like horror, was Maniac Mansion.
Yeah, we didn't have a lot, in that style. We had some and some other ones you could kind of bring into a little bit of the scariness, even though they borderline on that anyway, like Shadowgate, for me, was one I played a whole lot. You never knew when you were going to die. It always had a impending sense of dread, because it was a very experimental game in the sense that, you were going to die a lot playing it. And that was, part of the fun time, to see like what it is that would kill you. Like, what I'm going to open this grate on the wall. I don't really want to open it. I mean, I guess there could be a tool or something inside I could use, but no, it's like some butt-faced dog comes out and just murders you. And so
Yeah.
Maniac Mansion, in the sense, still had that too. And I mean, the guys were always capturing you. That was the thing of avoiding them. We always had the myth of the hamster you could put in the microwave, which actually I was reading recently on Maniac Mansion, but just before the show, with you even bringing that up, the fact that seems like there is a character you can put the hamster in the microwave still on the NES version.
Yeah. I've done it. And what's weird is the blood is orange. It's got Cheeto blood.
Well, hamster blood is orange. Yeah, that makes sense. That's a common known fact.
But I think they took it out in some of the later versions of Maniac Mansion. I think that's the thing. It's kind of like with Grand Theft Auto San Andreas with the black coffee incident. Like there's like the first print that you can do that black coffee hack, and then there's another print when they took the game off the shelves and brought it back. They might have done something like that with a little bit more hush-hush with Maniac Mansion. But yeah, I have done it, or at least I think I've done it. Maybe it's one of those weird theories.
It's one of the girls, from what I've heard, because there was always the rumors that you could do it in the PC. It was taken out, and sometimes this is one of those things you just could tell kids, and maybe they'd think no. Like, we had a bunch of bootleg Atari games I've mentioned, and we had X-rated pinball. I was always told X-rated pinball didn't work. I just believed that, so sometimes and it did work, because I tried it later on, and it's a terrible game. I was just better off not even playing that. Archon was much better, but maybe it was just a thing that came out there, it floated around, and some people still figured it out. Like, I have a copy in the NES of it and on some of my emulators, and it's like, man, I wouldn't mind going through Maniac Mansion actually with a bit of a walkthrough, just because I would not have the patience. I was terrible at it when I was little. I could only imagine now. And just an odd time, we even had a TV show. I don't know if either of you guys remember it. I want to say it lasted one season. And, nobody was blue. It was just I don't know if it was maybe a bit more akin to the Addams Family. There might have been some, like, extra creepy guy on there. But if you'd played the game and then watched this show, it just was highly disappointing. And, I'm in the majority of that. Most things when you read, people are like, yeah, this show is just bad, not what you expected, just not crazy. It was probably just more of like a family comedy, but I'm sure it's on YouTube. I might even go check it out myself, just because it's been so long. But don't expect much if you go into it. That's all I'd say. It's akin on levels of, like, new Addams Family bad. Okay. I mean, I'd probably rather watch Maniac Mansion than, like, new Addams Family, but it's just either one. Double-edged sword on those. They both suck.
Yeah, when you mentioned kids with rumors, you just reminded me, and this is completely, like, not Halloween. I guess you could say it's Halloween because it has to do with a ninja from Mortal Kombat, Smoke. But I thought you guys would get a kick out of this. I remember when I was younger and I used to go to church on Wednesday nights, and I remember we would go on the church bus and go to church, and I would always sit with these kids and talk about video games. And, Mortal Kombat always had, like, that kind of mysteriousness where people would, like, say things that could be true or could be not true. And one of the finishing moves this kid told me was during Mortal Kombat 2. He was like, yeah, and you can play a Smoke, and he has a fatality. And I'm like, he's got a fatality? What's he do? And he was like, he gets out a pack of cigarettes, and he smokes a cigarette and blows the smoke in your face, and you die of secondhand smoke.
Man.
Oh
man.
My God.
And
I wish that was real.
And I just looked at him. I was just like, really? I mean, like, I was totally not buying it. But this kid was like, he was serious about it. I guess somebody had told him, and he was like, man, smoking's bad. But I definitely want to urge our listeners who are listening to leave a comment below and tell us a video game that scared the bejesus out of you that normally wouldn't scare you. Maybe you're scared of high speed and F-Zero made you motion sickness. I don't know. I'd love to hear it. Leave a comment if you're watching this on YouTube. But before we close the show, we're going to be talking about games we've been playing recently, and I'm going to have Ryan start that off. Ryan, what games have you been playing?
Right now I've been playing a Korean horror game called White Day, a labyrinth called School.
Ooh.
And it is it's on the PS4. You can download it or order a physical copy on Amazon. And it's extremely creepy. It's kind of in the vein of Outlast or Alien Isolation, that kind of thing.
Nice.
But yeah, so but it's in a school, and you will get beat to death by baseball bats if you're not quiet. So it's pretty intense. But it's really creepy. I'm going to be reviewing that pretty soon. Other than that, Mario Odyssey, Persona 5, and I just picked up Wolfenstein today, so I'm going to check that out.
Oh, nice. Now, how have you been liking Mario Odyssey?
Man, it's so good. I love it. I'm probably about halfway through it right now. I don't know. I just had a pretty major instance happen in the story, so I think I'm pretty far into it, but I'm loving it so far. It's so much fun. It brings me back to the days of like when I was playing Mario Galaxy all the time, and Mario Galaxy 2, and I just love those games so much, and it was so cool to go to a new world and be like, hey, I wonder what this world's like. Even though they're all kind of self-explanatory when you read the descriptions, it's still cool. And they find interesting ways to do stuff that you've already seen.
Yeah, it's so good. A coworker of mine, actually my new assistant manager at my job, he told me the other day, he was like, yeah, I'm picking up a Switch. I want to get Mario Odyssey. And I had that moment where I was just like, oh my God, dude, I cannot wait till I come back to work and we can like just totally talk about Mario Odyssey. Because, yeah, I mean, I finished the game. I didn't collect all the moons. I think I got, because you got to at least have, I believe, 126 moons to complete the game. And I think right now I have around like 210 moons, because once you beat the game, you can go back and it opens up a whole new path of opening up more moons. So when you're done with the story, when you're done with the story, you're not completely done. As a matter of fact, there are 999 moons in Mario Odyssey. It is like,
I was thinking, because I know EJ, he was telling me, I think he had like 600 something. I'm kind of in there too, where I haven't beat it, and I know Xander got to experience some of my frustration. I was actually texting with him when it happened, because I got stuck on this one part on it, and it was making me mad. I was like, I don't understand, this game goes from like such fun to just, I hate it. I was like, I hate this game. And what it was, I went to some Let's Plays, and I don't really watch many Let's Plays. Like, I don't really get it. And I went to this one, and this guy was just really frustrating me, and I muted it, because I was like, this guy's annoying. It's like he was playing it for, he was playing it for the first time. I don't need to see that. I need to know where the fuck to go. And it's the part when your hat gets stolen, not for anything much spoilers, but at some point you could figure, you could lose the hat. And I'm trying to go the hard way pretty much without the hat. And I'm proud of myself because I did pretty good. But I was doing an area you're not supposed to do without the hat. And I watched this other guy, I think his name was Abdallah Smash. Just very cool. He didn't annoy me. Had a nice setup. I would actually go back to his videos again if I get stuck, which that's why I do appreciate people doing those, because sometimes I get stuck. I need to see what the hell to do.
Oh, yeah.
And thank you guys for that work. But the Abdallah Smash, like I said, I liked him, and I was like, I found out very quickly what I needed to do. And I was able to get back into it, and I immediately had fun, and I had that smile on my face once again. And like I said, it was my fault. That's why everything was bad. It was all my fault. It was not Mario's.
Yeah, I had the same issue when I get stuck in a game and I go to watch a Let's Play, and I do the same thing. I hit mute, because you always get those videos where someone's like, yo, it's your boy Dookie Gamer 420, and I'm just like, oh my God, dude, I don't give a shit who you are. I just want to figure out how to find this key or do something.
Even all the grunts and cusses as you play, we all do them. I understand that, but I don't want to hear somebody else do that.
Yeah, I'm with you. I had to use a couple for that White Day game because it is brutally. But like I said, I'm reviewing it, so I didn't want to like play 85% of it and then review it. Like, I wanted to finish the damn game, and I literally took this thing and threw it out in the yard at one point. Like, I got so mad.
Holy shit.
Like, it pissed me off so bad. And there's one part where I thought that there was a game-breaking glitch, because I would go up to this, like, panel. There's, like, a ghost chasing you, and I go to this, like, electronics panel, and it was like, hit the alarm. And I'm like, cool. And I hit it, and then it opens up a QuickTime event thing, and it's like, press right, press left. Everything's lighting up, and it's like, I'm doing everything, it's cool. And then she just stabs me in the chest, and I'm like, what am I doing wrong? And I just kept doing that. And apparently there was like one fuse that I had to like move into a certain box before I triggered that boss fight. Like, it was like this whole thing, but I had no idea, and they don't tell you you're doing anything wrong in the game. They're like, you're hitting all the QuickTime event stuff. It looks great. You're dead.
You're doing a good job.
Yeah, you're doing awesome. Like, oh, you're dead. And, like, it just kept happening to me. And I did it, like, 20 times, and I was like, I was telling Nicole, my girlfriend, I was like, this game is broken. Like, this is not like, you know, I cannot get any further than this part. And it's also a game like Resident Evil where you have to find, like, you know, not ink ribbons, but they're like markers to save. So, like, I was way back because I only have one. The game's brutal. Like, it's extremely brutal. So I would get all the way back to that part and then die and then have to start back. And it was such a pain. And then I finally figured it out and I felt like an idiot. But I had to watch a Let's Play video and, yeah, it was annoying. That was the point of my story.
Now, what about you, James? What have you been playing?
I mean, other than the initial, of course, you know, Mario is just self-explanatory. It is really, you know, for me, that could even be a game of the year. You know, as many Yakuzas as we've had, I know that might sound strange, but I've played Yakuza for a long time, and I always have fun. And it seems like it's been a long time since I've had an experience like this with Mario. Still been playing a little bit of WWF 2K18. I mean, it's really one of those games, if you play one of the other ones, but nothing else changes, you know. You can do so much now, but it still feels like I'm just hitting R2. Like, that's all I'm really doing. I still have way more fun with the Japanese 64 games I'd gotten. I talked about in the past, Virtual Pro 2. You know, if you're a fan of especially old WCW from the late 90s, Sting and everybody, do yourself a favor and get Virtual Pro Part 1. It's licensed by many different companies, which is really cool, and it's actually got a WCW fully licensed roster on there. It's only like $12. You can play it through a Game Shark, or, you know, I don't know if you can get an emulator. Do whatever you can if you like that. It's awesome. I've been playing Wolverblade on the Switch, and that one I believe is only on Switch. It's a beat 'em up. A little bit more kind of, you know, your Golden Axe style barbarian guys.
It's awesome.
Yeah, dude, I told you about it. You know, it's co-op. There's things in the background. I slammed somebody on some spikes. I chopped off somebody's head and threw it at them. It's a cartoony, you know, graphics, but it still is very violent and very fun. And it's one of the better. I love beat 'em ups. It's one of my favorite genres, and it's one of the better ones I think I've played in a while, because I'd actually got it and The Mummy demastered, which is one I heard about not too long ago. Another Way Forward game, another movie license, kind of like they did with Aliens Infestation. And this really does kind of feel, and I heard it described this way too, as a bit more of a sequel to that. You're once again, it's a very odd mixing, because you're more like some kind of, you know, space marine looking guy, and you're in this creepy, more Castlevania. It's really more like, you know, mixing Metroid and Castlevania, and more of the, you know, sense of how you would think. You know, you're shooting bats and monsters, and, you know, you're a space marine. The cool thing this time is anytime you die, you know, you have unlimited team members. But when you die, any weapons you've got, they stay with your corpse, which reanimates, and you have to go back and kill if you want to get those weapons.
That's
was
cool.
One I was really looking forward to,
That is cool.
and I do like it. Yeah, but I do have to say, like I said, they're both, one might be 15, one maybe 20. I really was so excited about The Mummy, but in the end, I really liked I ended up liking Wolverblade more, just because, like I said, I am a beat-em-up fan. There is another interesting one that had come out called Wheels of Aurelia. I think it had been out on PC. I got it on the Switch. It just really blew my mind, because there's people talking about buying cigarettes, which is still just, you know, weird to me playing on a Nintendo game. It's kind of an overhead driving game, but it has a lot to do with the conversations. If anybody maybe had played Yakuza 5, it has taxi sections. And the biggest part of the taxi section really is the conversations. It's not the driving. So this one kind of reminds me of like Over Top, some of the older like 16-bit or arcade era games. But it drives like that. And I'm having trouble conversating and driving at the same time. But it has a neat art style. Earth Atlantis is one. If you like Gunman Clive. This one I think cost a little bit more, but it's kind of got this, you know, black and white or beige and black art style to it, kind of hand-drawn. Very cool. You're just underwater as a little sub, and you have to fight bosses. You collect info on some of the sea creatures have turned into mechanical things through some type of weird evolution, I guess. I don't really know what's going on, but it's just a really cool underwater kind of sub-adventure. I liked it a bit better than Song of the Deep. I thought that one was pretty cool, but I really like the art style on this one. And then just for a little silly fun one, Super Ping Pong Trick Shot, I just kind of bought on a whim because it was $5. And, had a blast. If it's one of those games that you like where you can just, throw a ball, you got to bounce off different angles and drop the ball in a cup. Maybe if you're a beer pong pro, you might like this game. I had a lot of fun. It gives you different goals to do on each level, and just a really fun one. And then also last night, and actually the couple nights before, Ryan went to the same concert that I did with the Halloween season. We went to go see the band Goblin, who are known for doing the soundtracks for many famous Italian horror movies like Suspiria, Phenomena, Dawn of the Dead. I think some of their music was in the American version of Dawn of the Dead, but the Italian release is called Zombie with an I. I kind of consider myself an Italian movie aficionado for many years and got to learn about all this. And 20-something-year-old me did not think I would be seeing the band that played the music for so many of these iconic movies in concert. And it really was a cool experience. They played clips from some of the movies on a screen in the back. It's all instrumental, and it was really a good amount of people. And you wouldn't think it, but people were like rocking out. It's one of the cases where you could tell, the band, could see, and it's like you could just see they had a look on them that they really appreciated how the people in the crowd appreciated it. Mainly known for Dario Argento is the main one. They did a lot of movies for, and I would recommend Suspiria. While it's not one of my favorite ones, the soundtrack is awesome. And one of my favorite Argento ones I would throw out, they also did the music for, was Phenomena, which had Jennifer.
Awesome.
Yeah, Jennifer Connelly.
It's phenomenal.
Yes, it is. She was in Labyrinth, and she did this movie around the same time. It came out in the U.S. called Creepers, and it was missing about 20 minutes. She could control bugs. There was some nasty little creepy mutant kid. There was some gross pit of bugs, which always bugs me out. Even in Rambo 2, when he got dunked in that pit with the leeches, I hate that. It's just nasty. But Phenomena is like my favorite Dario Argento movie. And Xander, I think you would really like this band too, especially the Phenomena soundtrack. They have a song that sounds, literally, I'm listening to it, it sounds like it should be in Castlevania. Like almost like the music for Castlevania was maybe inspired by Goblin. But they're really something to check out. Yeah, it was just really amazing to see.
They were so much fun. Like, it was so cool. And, like, hearing, like, the Suspiria music live and the Dawn of the Dead music live gave me chills. And Phenomena, actually, from what I've read, influenced Clock Tower, which I can see a shitload of similarities between them. So
yeah, there's like a monkey with scissors in there. Like,
yeah. Yep.
Well, I mean, I did see some of the footage on Facebook. I think it was one of I think it was you, Ryan. You uploaded like a video of a performance, and I was watching it because I remember you guys were like, "Oh, we're gonna go see Goblin," and I'm like, "Oh, okay." I thought it might have been like a horror punk band or something, but I saw it come up, and I was like, "Man, these guys look a little older." I clicked on it, and it was like this crazy synthesized music, and I was like, "Holy shit, this is awesome!" Because I'm a big fan of old horror movie soundtracks and some of the synthesized stuff. A lot of people talk about John Carpenter and they talk about how great of a director he is, and he is, but he's also a fantastic musician.
Yeah, dude, he's on tour too. That's the thing. This is like Goblin actually played here a couple years ago, and I missed it. And I happened to see Ryan was going, and I was like, oh shit, I gotta look up. So that was the main reason I knew. John Carpenter also, I think, the same night some people in Detroit saw him. And then I think he's playing in Pennsylvania, which is a little far. He also plays clips from the movies. Another one I like, Fabio Frizzi, who did a lot of Lucio Fulci movies. Zombie, The Beyond, City of the Living Dead. Who, I love Fulci movies more than Argento movies.
Me too.
And the
I know
Zombie
some people
soundtrack. Yeah, it's debatable. It's debatable.
It is.
But the Zombie soundtrack is amazing. But Fabio Frizzi was also doing a tour, and I was looking up some dates, and I didn't I didn't see anything close, so I was still glad just to see Goblin. But this is something that's really nice to see. And like I said, they all play clips from the movie, so you get an experience.
You get that.
I really would have enjoyed a chair at this concert just because I'm old and lazy. But I was standing up, but I was literally like a few feet from the band, and it was cool. And I also felt very short because I am 6'2", and there were many people there taller than me, which is always just a weird experience to have. But yeah, just truly an amazing thing to actually see.
Yeah, I was about to say when he talked about I'm trying to remember the movie. I really like this one Italian horror movie, and it's by the director who did Zombie, but I can't stand the kid. I think it's called House by the Cemetery.
Oh yeah! Oh God, Bob! Fucking
Yeah.
Bob!
Yeah,
That's one
kid.
of my favorite movies ever. Yes.
I love the soundtrack to that. The opening. I used to have a bootleg DVD I bought at Suncoast like years ago. I got for like $5, and in the menu they would play the main theme song, and I remember I would just let that theme play in my room.
That was probably Seven Doors of Death if you got the bootleg version of House by the Cemetery, which actually is cut. It's all these things I learned along the way. I got to explain to Ryan the other day the difference between zombie with an E, zombie with an I, and zombie 2, 3, 4, 5. That's the awesome thing about Italian horror movies. They get so convoluted with their names. Capitalizing. Dawn of the Dead was called Zombie with an I in Italy, so Fulci made Zombie 2 to capitalize on the success of that. And over
And
here,
it has
was just
nothing to do with Dawn of the Dead.
no. It just had Zombie with an E over here. There is a whole series called La Casa, which means the house. This series in Italy contains Evil Dead, House, and then 3 other separate movies, which Witchery, Ghost House, and another one, which actually I love. This. If you actually like House by the Cemetery, these 3 movies you would really like, and that is the La Casa series. They have nothing to do with each other, but they just capitalize. It was the way it just went over there in Italy, and it was very fun, to see, because some versions we got were cut, and of course now as they more came out on DVD and especially more on Blu-ray, many people are finally getting to see like the full-on versions. But it's a very fun subgenre that just, if maybe you're not into zombies and gore, that someone could appreciate the music in them too, because they just always have very just amazing haunting soundtracks, that we see images from the movies in our minds, but maybe you could just listen to the music and see something else.
Indeed. And guys, just watch Zombie just for the shark fight.
Oh, dude, I know. It's the best thing that's ever been filmed.
Just for that alone is great.
Well, the movie's great, but that scene in particular, that and the eyeball scene are 2 of the greatest things I've ever seen.
Yeah.
But
that movie just changed my life. It sounds silly to say that, but it's one of those ones that really kickstarted my love of the more of the gore genre and the Italian one that I got to learn so much from. So yeah, do yourself a favor. Just the cover alone, I was like, this is the most awesome thing I've seen in my life. And when you see that zombie with the worms hanging out of his eyes, you'll know what I mean.
Indeed.
And also, I would also have to suggest a movie called The Editor, which is a modern day. It's almost. I mean, it is a parody of Italian horror movies because they like purposely do the bad dubbing and the treatment of women is pretty poor. But it's like all like done in like a poking fun at the Italian horror movies. But it's called The Editor, and it's like it's one of those parodies that it's like it's a parody, but it's not making fun of it. It's like they really love it, so they're kind of like doing their own tribute to the Italian horror genre. But it's really good. I definitely suggest checking that out.
Indeed. Now, getting back to games that we've been playing, my list is really short. That's why I didn't mind talking about horror movies, because mainly I've been playing Mario Odyssey. Just finished that. Last night I started playing River City Ransom Underground, which I forgot I even had a code for on Steam until last night. I watched a video and they were talking about River City Ransom. I'm like, oh yeah, River City Ransom Underground, that Kickstarter, that was really cool. And I'm like, oh man, I forgot a buddy of mine gave me a code for the game. So I put it in. I didn't even know if the code was still going to work, but it did. And it was fun. If you're a huge fan of beat-em-ups, if you like River City Ransom, you're going to feel right at home with this. If you guys haven't been following the Kickstarter, it was a very successful Kickstarter. And I like the fact that you play as like these different students, because the beginning of the game starts off like normal River City Ransom. You're playing as either Alex or Ryan. And then after that last boss fight, it like goes like 15 or 20 years into the future, and Alex and Ryan are older, and you're got a choice of different students to play as, and you're helping Alex and Ryan, you know, stop, I guess, like a terrorist that's like kidnapped the president's daughter, you know, something very stereotypical like that. But it was just cool being like fighting alongside Alex and Ryan, and they're like older and they have beards, and they're like, oh, you know, I remember when I used to be able to do that. It was just kind of cool. It was like passing the torch, because, you know, this wasn't, you know, a game that was put out by the original developers. It was a team that really loved River City Ransom. They got Artworks' blessing, and, you know, it's got some references to like Castle Crashers. It's got some Double Dragon references. I mean, you even fight Abodo, or I think I'm saying that right.
Abobo.
Yeah, Abobo. You have a boss fight with him, and you're just like, oh man, he's like a Double Dragon staple. But that's pretty much it. Now, before we shut the show, I did want to say real quick, if you guys are listening to us on Podomatic, to check us out as well on iTunes. And if you check us out on iTunes, be sure to leave a review. It really helps the show, really helps people find it, and it just helps with the ratings. Also, you can follow us on Podomatic, and when you follow us on Podomatic, it will leave you a notification whenever there's a new episode. You guys will get notified. And also YouTube, youtube.com/Xander Skullion. Be sure to check that out. It's my YouTube channel. I actually just did a review of Night Terrors, which is a really awesome Nikilis game on the Switch. It's like an endless runner, but you're playing as a possessed set of armor. It's very like 8-bit, you know, Xenix Spectrum kind of feel to it. It's really cool. It's only $3.
I watched that review and I was like, dude, this looks like so much fun. So I downloaded it. I haven't played it yet, but
oh, it's good.
Like, just on your recommendation, like, and watching the video footage of you playing it, like, I was like, this looks awesome.
Oh yeah, so, it's really
good.
Yeah, I
picked that one up immediately.
But and also I got a brand new video up. It's Sega Saturn Memories. I did a video on that. But yeah, I'm trying to make sure I have a nice schedule of uploads every Sunday, every Wednesday. There's going to be a new upload on my YouTube channel. Rather, it's a new episode of XS Gaming Podcast, or it's a review or Let's Play. Got a lot of stuff planned out, so be sure to check that out, guys. And last but most importantly, Ryan, I want you to let people know when or where they can check out the Casket Creatures, maybe a show that you have coming up. So if anyone's listening that's in the area, can go and check out you guys play.
Yeah, November 18th, we're playing with this band called the Spectremen. That they used to be like the Atlanta horror punk band, probably about 10, 15 years ago, and then obviously like 10 years before that, like they played all the time in Atlanta, and they're really awesome. So they're doing a 20-year reunion, and we're going to be playing with them at the Highlander November 18th, with also another band called Elzig, which is a mashup between Elvis and Danzig, and it's amazing.
Nice.
It's so awesome. So we're doing that. Aside from that, right now we're working on our new album. We just released our studio update, which I really suggest checking out because we put a lot of work into it, and it's really fun. I like it a lot. And other than that, I'm doing video game reviews for a website called bloodyblue.com. It's BLU, like Blu-ray. So I'm doing that right now. They also have a Bloody Blue Facebook page, and basically it was started by a guy who's a collector, and he collects special edition Blu-rays and stuff like that, and then they're branching into gaming, so he reached out to me, and I'm covering his gaming reviews. So just check all that stuff out on bloodyblue.com.
Yeah, it's definitely a cool site. We'll say too, actually, another former guest that was on last Halloween, with you. Nathan Hamilton also has returned for his Son of Celluloid reviews on the Bloody Blue website as well.
Yes.
Oh, indeed.
Yeah, exactly. So it's kind of cool because it's all Atlanta people working on it. So like, it's kind of neat.
Yeah, guys, definitely check
It's
out.
like a collective of like.
But yeah, guys, definitely check out all the stuff in the description of this episode. Whether you're listening to us on Podomatic or on YouTube, I'm gonna have all the links to the Casket Creatures Reverbnation, also Ryan's YouTube channel, and bloodyblue.com. If you guys are huge fans of like horror, then I mean, obviously, just from the little talk that we were talking about, Italian horror movies, you guys can get that and more on bloodyblue.com. And yeah, again, Ryan, thank you so much for being on the show. I know we went through a lot of trials and tribulations to finally get this episode out, and I know some people are looking at the date and they're like, what the hell? It's like the 12th of November, and they recorded this on the 1st, and this is a Halloween episode, pure madness. But I had to put this episode out, man, because it's always a treat to have you on.
Yeah, man, and I mean, I hope I'm on sooner than Halloween next time.
Oh, indeed. Anyway, guys, I want to wish you guys a very late happy Halloween and a happy Thanksgiving, because that's right around the fucking corner. And,
Yeah, it is.
And as always, guys, thanks for listening and happy gaming.
Don't eat those yellow and black peanut butter candy things, and have a marred up evening, everyone.
Give them to me. I love them.
Gross, man. I thought I liked you.
Damn.
I'm sorry. I don't mean that.
You guys have a good night.